Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news this Friday night. We're live at 7 o'clock because I'm on That's Football for the start of the Premier League at 8 o'clock. Join me on there, but lots to get into in this show. Amorim's been talking about the transfer window. Barada has been talking about the transfer window. We'll get into those comments. Of course, the reaction to what's next in relation to the midfield. What's next in relation to, are we going to get a goalkeeper? And what's next in relation to the season ahead? I've got to say, before we get into the comments, a lot of what's coming out about Man United just seems to be a bit smoke and mirrors. You know, we're very happy with the window we've had. We're confident it's going to make a difference. But Ruben Amorim is basically saying that his aim for the season is Europe. And Europe could be the Conference League. And even then, he says there's teams that have had longer than us. What does that actually mean? Remember, it's your show. I want to get your thoughts, but I obviously want to bring some of this stuff in for you as well. We're in trouble, says Melps. And Mike JW says, seriously unimpressed with the owner's ambition or lack thereof. We needed a decent midfielder, and now what? What are they going to do now? Well, people are talking about Yulmlin. They're talking about Wharton. Maybe we will pivot, but I've got to be honest, I'm still lamenting the miss out on the one that I wanted to get, really, to be honest with you. But look, loads to get into tonight. Before we get into that, though, exciting news. We're back, sponsored by Sleeper. Sleeper isn't just any sports app. It was the #1 downloaded sports app in the US during the NFL season launch, beating ESPN and Yahoo. Millions use it daily to stay in the game. There's a fantasy experience, which is known for delivering the best fantasy experience. Loads of people playing that at the moment, so check their game out on Sleeper. Gives football fans unmatched customization, real-time stats, and all the emotion of the game in one place. Trust me, check it out. It's good fun. And also with a new season and the Premier League, Sleeper remains the ultimate football destination for the Premier League and beyond. Get breaking news and videos, all brought to you by the fans for the fans. There's even more to get involved with, from the weekly prediction games to a unique draft league. Keep your eyes peeled on that, because I'll be doing mine next week, that makes the new season even more exciting. Check that out too, plus the fantastic features you already know and love with Sleeper's fantasy draft and prediction games. You're in control of what you see, what you watch, and what you play. It's all free. It's all free, so check it out. If you're riding the wave of fantasy and drafts and you want to get involved, check out Sleeper, get involved. It's very interactive as well. We'll see you there. Thank you very much for that. Check it out, link in the description, or if you're on desktop, you can scan the QR code now and get it downloaded. Thank you very much to Sleeper. Right, okay, so let me just read this couple of quotes out that I wanted to read you. Ruben Amorim says, you can't expect big changes in 4 weeks of pre-season. I expect us to be a team that's more enjoyable to watch than last season. And on the transfer market, he said, very good. We've signed very talented players who want to play here even without the Champions League. That was an important point for us, especially during this period. And then Omar Barada has said that Jason Wilcox and the football department have been working really hard over the summer to attract the best talent to help us improve the squad. We're confident about the impact those new signings will have. So look, you know, what next for Manchester United? Well, Arsenal, to be honest with you. I didn't expect the Baleba story to be dropping 2 days before the Arsenal game, but what's next is, well, we're not sure. I think that, you know, it's really important that we analyse where we're at. And I think that includes, I want to know what you think, really. I mean, I wouldn't say I've calmed down from the Baleba news. I'm just massively confused. But there is not long left in the window. I do not think it's been a great transfer window. I really like Šeško. I really like Cunha. And I really like Mbeumo. But as I said, that is ridiculously balanced. I mean, look, let me break it down. We've bought three really good attackers. But the last time I checked, attack, defence, midfield, goalkeeper. There's 4 elements to any football team. Some would say there's 5. Sometimes, you know, there can be wing backs, etc. You could argue that in Amorim's system, but certainly in any team, you've got goalkeeper, defence, midfield, attack. We've sorted the attack out. That is like a set of scales that are like that. I'm sorry, I don't think that's great preparation for the season unless your defence, goalkeeper and midfield was good last year. It wasn't. So I think that I would give the window a 5 out of 10. I'm very happy with the attackers. I think some people lack the intelligence to understand that you can be very, very happy with signings, but then look at the general picture and go, I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you've got a boat and it's not seaworthy, and you spend all your money on the front half and the back half's full of holes, you're going to sink. So I can be really admiring about what we've done up top, but the midfield and the defence, specifically the goalkeeper, for me are not good enough. So I'm a little bit mistrusting of United statements about we're expecting improvement with what we've bought. I don't think that's fair on Cunha, Mbeumo and Seshko, to be honest with you. As we've seen time and time again, the midfield doesn't feed the attack. So I'm a little bit concerned. Listening to what Amorim said in the press conference, there was a couple of things that jumped out to me as well. Obviously, he said he can't change it all in 4 weeks, but I'm confident. Look, I've got to play devil's advocate here. He said, I can't change it all in 4 weeks, but I'm confident. I understand it's going to take more than 4 weeks for Man United to compete for a title. But then he was asked what his target was for the season. And he says, we want to return to Europe. Even that will be a fight. There are lots of teams that have had more time together than us. And I think, well, it worries me, the vagueness of that statement, right? Because if he's saying our aim is to get back into Europe, but that will be difficult because there's teams that have had more time than us. Unai Emery went straight into Villa and changed the club mid-season and never looked back. Thomas Frank at Brentford will turn things around very, very quickly. Admittedly, his system is more easy to implement. But I do sort of look at it and say, Ruben, you have been here since November. You've had 5 months that have literally been written off with terrible results, quite rightly. You've now had a pre-season and you're going into a new season asking for more time because other teams are ahead of you. But Spurs aren't ahead of you. They've got a brand new manager. They're not ahead of you. Aston Villa haven't spent any money. Newcastle can't sign a striker. So I would like to say that we have to be going for 5th place. That's got to be the target. We're Manchester United, and even some would say that's not good enough. But I think Europe as a statement is a bit vague because it could be Europa League, it could be Conference League. And I also do not think that logically you can say, well, we haven't had long enough compared to other teams who've had a lot longer together. I mean, you've had a whole summer and you've been here before. I think what he's trying to say is, though, as a big fan of Amorim, I think what he's saying is he's trying to lower those expectations again. Because logically, like I've just said, playing devil's advocate, you would say, well, you've had a pre-season, you've had a transfer window, and you had 6 months before it. You can't really start saying, I haven't had long enough and everyone's ahead of us, because we're a bigger club than Nottingham Forest. We're a bigger club than Villa. We're a bigger club than Newcastle. We're a bigger club than Spurs. We've spent £200 million. I would expect us to be able to say we're competing for Champions League football. I would expect us to be saying that. The reason he's not saying it is because he knows exactly what you know and exactly what I know. Without a goalkeeper and a midfielder, we're not probably going to get top 5. So I think he's having to massage his vocabulary without saying, I've been let down in the window. So I think when he says our target is Europe, but he's not saying Champions League, he's leaving it wider. And I think when he's saying I need longer because other clubs have had longer than me, some people might have a pop at him for that and say, well, how long do you want? How much money do you want? But the reality is he is telling the truth. But the truth is we're not ready to go for the Champions League because I've not been given the players I need. And the midfield and the goalkeeper are absolute non-negotiables as far as I'm concerned. Would you do last-minute deals like Casemiro or Antony, says JB? I am just going to get into some of your points. Ben says, I'm feeling more and more sorry for the United Strand guy. Yeah, he's going to suffocate in his hair soon. I mean, if you can't cut it, it's actually going to grow over his head. He's going to look like that thing from the, what was it called? It in the Addams Family. Yeah, horrible. But look, I feel like what JB said, we spoke about on the Baleba breaking news. I think we're heading straight towards that. How many times have we started the season badly and spent late? Agate last year. That was a late deal, as we know, and Antony and Casemiro. So I think we will get a striker, I think we will get a midfielder, but who it will be, look, I read a brilliant comment on X this afternoon after the Baleba story, and basically what it said was, we've turned a summer transfer window where you've got loads of time to prepare for it into a desperate last 2 weeks of the January transfer window. And I thought, you know what? It's not far wrong, is it? We've had weeks to prepare for this transfer window, if not months. It's a long window. There is no international tournament. And effectively, barring the attack, which I'm very happy about, but two other crucial areas, we've basically turned this transfer window into the last 2 weeks of January. And what happens in the last 2 weeks of January? It's desperate. So I don't know. The only thing I would differ with that, again, playing devil's advocate and being positive, in January, in the last 2 weeks of the January transfer window, I mean, that is really desperate, you know, and we're halfway through a season. This will be a hectic window with everybody doing stuff. So there'll be more available, but it will still be difficult, I think. It will still be difficult. It's not an I told you so, because it was genuinely just a feeling I had, but still stand by my spin comment regarding Baleba, and I'm gutted to Cameron. Mate, I respect it. I've had people taking a pop at me because I thought the deal would get done. Did I say I'd been told anything? No, I have been told stuff about other transfers this summer, but I've never been told anything about Baleba. It was just a belief and trust in the team, in the board. So if the board don't like the fact that I've called them out, well, look, I've spent a week and a half backing you, saying that, you know, they'll get it done. I showed faith and trust in you like a lot of other people did, and you betrayed it. You've still done something that I would love to know an answer to. There are multiple journalists around Manchester United. Do some journalism. Do some bloody journalism. Stop taking news from United and putting it out there and pretending to be a journalist. Actually do a bit of journalism. Actually speak to people at Brighton. Find out why Man United spoke to Baleba for a week and a half and then just walked away because Brighton wanted 100 million. As if they didn't know that. It's weird to me. Somnath says, is the U-turn possible considering last year with Agate, and if we lose very badly, even it sounds unrealistic, doing a deal for Baleba is possible? I mean, look, nothing is beyond the realms of possibility, Somnath. If we got battered on Sunday, the reaction, and I know it as well as you, will be one of immense frustration in this fan base, and they will demand action. And you know that United can do that action. Whether that action would be to go back in for somebody like Baleba, I don't know. Be interesting to see if he's playing if he plays for Brighton tomorrow as well. I mean, apparently he's had a knock for the last few weeks, but I am interested to see if he's going to play that game, because if he is playing that game, then obviously it's very, very interesting. But look, I don't know where we're going to go next. I don't think anybody knows where we're going to go next. I think there's a lot of guesswork around Yulman and around what's his name? Wharton. But I think that's just logical. I don't think it would. I think, as I said this morning, I think Wharton's harder to do than Baleba. I really do. I think we should go for Kamara for Monaco or Douglas Luiz for loan as stopgaps, says Vijay. What are the chances we get Champions League? I don't know what that is, Alex, and I can't be bothered. I'm worried our front players won't get the progressive balls from the midfield. The support from one of the three centre-backs. I want to be really wrong, though, says Dev. Mate, we might start off with Ricky says Indicala. I mean, I've got to say this, and this is my opinion. I think a lot of what they print comes from somebody else. I got shown something this week, and they were right on Baleba. Whether it was a guess or not, I don't know. But I got shown something this week from a prominent journalist where they tweet this a minute before it's come from here. They tweet this a minute before it's come from there. So I'm not actually convinced by them. I want to be, but I'm not. So telling me to read it, I'm not there on it yet. With all respect, I'm allowed to say that. I'm not slagging them off. Maybe they are good. I just don't quite believe it, to be honest. Will Onana mistakes in the matches before the window closes make Glinios panic and buy a new keeper? Would you... Glazer's probably told Mr. Champers not to do it, says JB. Wharton is a serious option, but it depends on Amorim's plans in the meantime for the shape of the team and the current profile, says Ibrahim. The club is coming out with this nonsense. They don't have a clue that the midfield is important. Without it, we'll get walked through and we can't score, says Mike. I mean, it could be an opportunity for Agate. I do rate Agate and I do rate Mainu, but I still think we're quite short when it comes to options in there. We could probably do Edison and Donnarumma for 70. What are you talking about, Michael? Donnarumma's about 50. And, Edison's about 50 to 60. And Donnarumma will be 25 to 30. I'd be happy with that. 7.5 out of 8. Michael, I like your optimism. I really do. But I would temper your expectations. I don't see Man United going for a goalkeeper and a good midfielder now just because they haven't got Baleba. I don't think we'll get a goalkeeper because it's still the same. Anana's still here. We won't sign a number one goalkeeper while Anana's here. So I don't think... I like the positivity when people get a real blow. They try and spin it into a positive. But I don't think there's a lot of time in the window. And I don't think we're quick enough to do 2 deals in 2 weeks of quality. So I don't think it'll happen. Baleba was to stop the protests, in my opinion. Owners out, says Mr. Shampers. Jonathan says Man United are unbailable. And also Garish says if only do... No, there was a comment here. Baleba was to stop protests, in my opinion. Owners out, says Mr. Champers. If only do and FR get all the info from the club. I don't know who DO and FR... Oh, David Ornstein. Gorish, just write Ornstein and Romano. Don't put DO and FR. It's hard enough doing a show. I don't do abbreviations. I had a job that was all about abbreviations and I felt like going up yours. I can't be arsed with it. We're wasting seconds. If Ornstein and Romano get all the info from the club, what if they're the client journalists who let out such news for kit sales as briefed by Glinios? Spin, says Gorish. I don't think Ornstein and Romano are client journalists because they don't go around following the club all around the world wanting interviews and questions. I think that's not my opinion of them. Amorim's not getting Baleba will be like Jose not getting Maguire. If we do get him, the manager won't be there anymore, says Matthew. No, I think Jose's big one was... Perisic. I think that was the one that would have been transformative and they didn't do it. Now go for a goalkeeper, says Alan Noonan, and it all went downhill when you started saying Šeško. I'm going to go back to Sesko, Parker. I am. I'm going to go back to calling him Sesko. Check Ornstein. I'll go and check it now. Get Luis on loan and Lament permanent, says Lewis Marsh. And hi, Mark. Do you think Baleba news could be just spin to hide that the panic bought Sesko and they couldn't get Gyökeres, says Akish? No, I mean, there's a lot of people shouting spin, and honestly, I think with regards to spin, it would just simply be they went for a player to hype up a load of positivity, knowing that there was a slim chance of a large chance they wouldn't get him. But again, I would always say, who are the people advising Manchester United? Because they don't seem to understand perception. You do a good thing by getting Šeško, and everybody's excited about it. And then you go and destroy it by spending a week and a half publicly saying that you're going for Baleba, and then you don't get him. And that's the thing that sort of confuses me, is like I don't really understand why we've sort of burnt the positivity, if you know what I mean. But look, we have. Please, I don't know what's going on with YouTube, by the way. Did everyone get their notification? Because it's a ridiculously low number of people for such a big show. And I'm not being arrogant, but we've only just hit 10,000 watching, and I don't know what's going on with YouTube tonight, but I felt like it was like that a little bit earlier. So let us know if you did. The new front three won't work properly. We fell off. Yeah, we probably fell off. Yeah. Red97 says the new front three won't work properly. It was always gonna happen. It was always going to happen. I think we fell off. Loads of people saying they didn't get a notification. To be honest, that's probably the truth, really. Aras says arrogant. No, I mean, mate, I don't get out of bed for less than 20,000 live viewers. I'm just a narcissist. But in reality, no. The thing that bothers me is it's not the 8 o'clock show. It's the 7 o'clock show. And we've got a massive worldwide community. And I just feel a bit bad that we're live and half of them probably don't even know because they've forgotten that we're doing 7 instead of 8 and they don't get a notification. So that's the point of it, really. Battlefield beta's out. Oh, I'd hope I'd hope that's not a large element of our demographic, but you never know. Omar says, I think it's a funds issue. They have to make sales to get Baleba, and I think sales will only come at the very end of the window. Thank you, Omar. LMP says, I think as long as we get an alternative and now Baleba's locked in for next summer, it's all good. What? What is this shit? What is this shit? Seriously, what is this shit? Remember the rules. I don't have to read shit comments. You started off so well, LMP. What? I think as long as we get an alternative, and now that Baleba's locked in for next summer. Since when's he been locked in for next summer? From the brain in your arse. What? You know, mate, go and take your mouth for a shit, because you're talking out your arse. What a load of rubbish. I mean, I'm bantering you, but seriously, like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, we're not... we've not locked him in at all. He'd still be open to coming to United next season because no one else is in for us. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know what that's all about, to be honest with you. But well, look, Fabrizio says we're going to go for an alternative. Let's see if we do. A lot of people talking about Yulmlin, by the way. I just want to say, with regards to Yulmlin, the thing that sort of catches me out in relation to Yulmlin is that why would you not go for him in the first place? Because we've bought nobody from Sporting. He's a massive, massive part of that Sporting side. I think he's even the captain. So why would you not go for Yulmlin before Baleba? But look, maybe we will go for him. I don't know. I think as long as we get done that one from LMP. I'm only messing with you, mate. Mark, well, I'm not really. Mark, what did you get on the new shirt? Also, how is the authentic versus the replica? I'm getting one in the US and there is no shop nearby to compare. I don't know, because I don't buy replicas and I don't put names on the back of my shirt. And I haven't put one on the back of Seb's yet, actually, which has just reminded me. The new front three won't work properly. I don't know why people assume I bought it as well. Like, people are like, oh, you're funding the Glazers. Good bloody job if we've got no money to buy Baleba. But why do people assume I bought them? The new front three won't work properly if the midfield doesn't work. My hope for the season is the right centre midfield really plummets. Baleba worth overpaying for, says Red 97. Mate, it won't stop being weird to me why we've had a week or two of being linked to him and then we just walk away. I mean, to be honest with you, we are a weird football club, aren't we? I mean, when it comes to transfers, we are weird. How many football clubs do you know? I mean, imagine if Arsenal wanted Rodrigo, right? And then spoke to him for a week and a half, and then spoke to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid said, we want £100 million. And Arsenal went, oh, we didn't know that, we'll walk away. Like, it's just a real... But also, they tell David Ornstein about it every step of the way. It's just, there's something really weird about it. Like, you brief Ornstein, you speak to the player, and then a week and a half later you speak to Brighton. They say, we want 100 million, and you go, oh, forget that. It's just, the whole thing is just really weird. Really, really weird. Do you think Baleba news could be just spin to hide that Panic bought Sesko and they could get Gyökeres? I mean, I don't believe that, Akash, at all. Ian King says it is a 5 out of 10 window. It had a chance of being an 8 with Baleba and Donnarumma, but neither are going to happen. I really, you know what? It just shows you, just be a cynic. Don't be positive, just be a cynic, because I've always been cynical. And I've actually been quite positive about this Baleba deal and the Sesko deal. And it worked with Sesko, but it hasn't worked with Baleba. Logically, the message has to be, just prepare for the worst with Man United. Don't get too optimistic, because I did dare to dream on that one. Michael says, much like the transfer team, that new black kit is too thick, rigid and uncomfortable. Looks better on the eye than in action, says Michael. I really like mine. Ian King, thank you very much. Alan Noonan, thank you very much for your super chat. How do you feel about the draw against Grimsby Town in the Cup, says Brandon. I mean, an easy cup game where we can play the reserves really is not on my mind at the moment compared to actually solving our midfield and goalkeeper for a Premier League season. Without being too disrespectful. Edda did Amorim mark, says Alan Noonan, whatever that means. And how soon before the new signings lose their form? Centre midfield and goalkeeper would bring needed structure. Something else to consider when rating the window. Nick, it's ridiculous, you know. I was thinking something about that the other day. You know, when I was watching, I think it was the last game in the US tour when Cunha was playing as a false nine or up front and just wasn't in the game. And I was actually sat there, and I don't think I said it live. I sat there and I thought, you know what? He's just not in the game. Just not in the game. He's not, so therefore he's not playing well. And that's it, isn't it? The hype and excitement of a new signing can disappear very quickly when they're not doing anything, and it's not necessarily their fault. So I do worry that Šeško, Cunha and Mbeumo, if they don't get good starts, they'll start to get dragged down. But what I will say is, it depends on what you class as bad and good. I think with the players we've got, we'll comfortably be top 8. And maybe that'll be good enough for some of you. Maybe when we're not in the bottom half of the table, you'll be really excited when Šeško's scoring goals and Cunha's scoring goals, but we're 8th. The thing is, I don't think that's good enough. I think we need to be 5th or above. And I don't think we can be above, so I think we've got to go for 5th. I don't think we're going to be in the bottom half. You know, when people say we're going to struggle, I really want to make it very, very clear. We will struggle in the midfield and we will struggle in goal, but not to the extent that we'll be in the bottom half. I think we'll be somewhere between 5th and 10th. That might be okay for some of you. I definitely think Cunha and Mbeumo and Šeško are going to take us into the top half of the table. But without a midfield and a goalkeeper, I don't see us getting into the top 5. And that's where we should be, because we can't afford another year not in the Champions League. Because trust me, if we're in the Champions League, Baleba would be a very easy deal to do. We should have pushed Bruno out the door, says Reese. I mean, you're the first person to say that, but the money would be there. And whose fault's that? You know, you're the first person to say it, and I've got to say, I'll communicate it for you. We've spent a week and a half in talks for a player that Ruben Amorim thinks would be a transformative player for the midfield. If we told Bruno to go to Al Hilal, we'd have the £100 million to do it, and the midfield would be better balanced with Baleba and Mainu or Baleba and Ugarte anyway. I don't want Bruno to go if he's going to play as a number 10, but in the midfield, I think it's just, tell me I'm wrong. I don't think he's good in the midfield. I don't think he's a midfielder. I was listening to Amorim talk about Bruno in the midfield today, because he basically confirmed he will be playing there. And he said last season, I did need Bruno closer to the goal, but this season I've got people like Cunha and Mbeumo and Šeško, so I don't need him so close to the goal. I want him on the ball. So he's going to play him in the midfield, basically, isn't he? And, you know, if Bruno is a number 10 over anybody. Anybody in that team, Bruno at number 10. Me. I love Bruno. He's a brilliant number 10. Bruno is a number 10. Bruno is a number 8. Nah, not for me. Not for me. So if you're telling me we didn't get Baleba because we didn't sell Bruno to Al Hilal, well, you know, Amorim chose to do that as much as anybody else. So it's very logical that Bruno could be out there in Saudi and Baleba could be sat in our midfield. And would I do that? If we're not going to use Bruno as a 10, yes, I would. I want Bruno as a 10. I don't want him in the midfield. So, yeah, I would have sold Bruno to Al Hilal to get Baleba into the midfield, because I think Baleba and Ugarte will be, or Baleba and Mainu, or even Baleba and Casemiro is going to be better than Bruno with one of those. But look, we don't know the ins and outs. I don't know. We still went for Baleba after keeping Bruno, so I don't know the ins and outs. You know, I don't really understand what's gone on. We have to get Donnarumma now that Baleba is officially unavailable, says Nathan. I don't know where all this Donnarumma talk is coming from again. I'm just going to call bullshit. Where is all this Donnarumma stuff coming from? He's going to Man City, isn't he? We were never in talks with him anyway. Where is all the Donnarumma stuff coming from, apart from some desperate shift of opinion because we're not getting Baleba and we're trying to justify something else? I've not heard anything about Donnarumma other than he wants to go to Man City. Emily Derry says striker, midfield, goalkeeper to only get 1 out of 3 positions in the spine of the team is shocking when we knew we needed more major investment. Thank you very much, Emily. Please, will you call Ben a prat, says M2M. And Smith says they might buy a centre midfielder and that's it. They think we'll get by with Onana, and then in January they buy a goalkeeper and push Onana out for summer 2026 while at the AFCON. I don't think they'll do that. I don't think they'll push him out while he's at the AFCON. Feels like Wazza in midfield. PTSD, says Louis. Oh, yeah, remember when we used to put Rooney in the midfield? Yulmlin has a release clause, 80 million euros, which expired in January. Brighton might have asked for more than 100 million. Also off topic, Forbes 2025 most valuable club, United, 6.6 billion, if you can believe it, says Christine. I think the wing backs need to support the central two more, or we'll have holes in the midfield, says Rob, always United. At least they can go and get Donnarumma, says Joseph. In a way, I'm glad Baleba won't play alongside Bruno in the midfield, where everyone from our midfield department suffered. Sell Bruno and bring in Baleba, says Tilak. And thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Okay. Did I miss something? Both Ornstein and Romano said that Baleba is not for sale from Brighton. Even if we sold Bruno, doesn't mean we would get him, says Lauren. You did miss something, mate. You missed a week and a half of us talking to Baleba. How the fuck have we been in talks publicly? I mean, I can only lead a horse to water. You've got to drink it. If you want to believe that Brighton never wanted to sell him and he was never up for sale, pray tell me what you would do if you had a midfielder that you don't want to sell and you found out that a club was talking to your player every day for the last week. You'd be straight on the phone to the Premier League saying our player's being tapped up illegally and Man United would get fined. I rest my case, Your Honour. Don't fall for the bullshit that Brighton weren't open to doing a deal with us. You cannot publicly go and, it would be like us going to Aston Villa and publicly talking to John McGinn for a week and a half and then Villa saying, we don't want to sell him. We don't want anyone talking to him. It's nonsense. What's actually happened is we have spoken to Baleba with Brighton's knowledge, and Brighton have basically said, you can talk to him all you like. We are a selling club, but when you've agreed whatever you're going to agree with him, this is our price. And United have gone, yeah, we'll deal with that later. And then they've dealt with Baleba. They've got the deal. They've got the personal terms. Then they've gone to Brighton and gone, this is our offer. And they've gone, no, it's this. And they've gone, oh, you weren't joking. No. Oh, okay. 100%. 100% we've fucking... Brighton would have sold. It's just... We just clearly haven't got the money. Honestly feel like even if Baleba replaced Bruno in the midfield, he would no match the creative output of Bruno. Says Ben. What creative output has Bruno got in the midfield? I'm confused by this. Did you not listen to what Amorim said? Last season, he was pushing Bruno further forward because he didn't have anybody to do it. This season, he wants him to play deeper because he's got people who can play further forward. What is this creative output you're talking? And at what cost? We finished 15th, mate. Last season, Bruno played a lot more advanced. I think he's going to play a lot more deeper this season. And that terrifies me. Because if he starts hitting Tom Brady Hail Marys over the top, he's got to get the ball and feed Cunha. That's all the midfield have got to do. Get the ball, feed Cunha. That's got to be our game plan. He is a £60 million player who is our number 10. You've got to feed Cunha. It's as simple as that. Oh, Yanni, you've been blocked. See you later. Look, we always wanted Edison or Wharton before this Baleba. Oh, I can't be dealing with people who are making stuff up. Caleb, since when were you the sporting director? What do you mean we wanted Edison or Wharton before Baleba? And we would have bitten someone's arm off for that. We'd still be miles better. Right. Tell me when we're getting Wharton and Edison, because I've heard nothing about that. And tell me when we were going for Edison or Wharton before Baleba. I mean, we've just, sorry, and I'm not being an arsehole, but we've just had a week and a half of every single United fan ecstatic that we're going for Baleba. Can't believe we're going for Baleba. What a brilliant player Baleba is. We don't do the deal, and now people are going, wow, we never wanted him anyway. We actually wanted Edison. Yeah, we wanted Edison and we wanted Wharton. Face it, United will be sat there tonight shitting themselves going, we fucked up. There's not long left in the window. Everybody knows we want a midfielder. What are we going to do? And I'm very interested to see what they're going to do next because I don't share your confidence. I put my faith in United on Baleba and I feel like I've had my fingers burnt. So I don't share your positivity that we're going to get a goalkeeper and a midfielder. I'd love to get back onto the positivity train, but where I feel tonight is the reality of every single transfer window, what feels like for the last decade. Whether it's walking away from Perisic because we can't afford it for Jose when he needed him, whether it's spending stupid money on players late in the window like Casemiro and Antony because we're desperate, I just feel we're following very, very similar themes. And remember, the season is starting and the big headline is we're not ready. Again, we're not ready for the start of a season. Our midfield is not as good as it should be. Our goalkeeper's not as good as it should be. And we're playing one of the favourites for the league on Sunday. And then we're going away to Fulham, who God knows what they're going to be like. The season is starting and we could be sacrificing points. And people seem to be okay about it. Oh, it's fine. We've wasted 2 weeks looking at Baleba, but it don't matter because we always wanted Ederson, you know. And will we get Ederson? Do Atalanta strike you as a club that sell people on the cheap with 2 weeks left of a transfer window? I hope you're right, but honestly, I'm mildly pissed off with what's happened over the last week and a half, and I'm mildly concerned about how our season might go. The last 2 summer windows have shown that we never really know the full Ineos transfer strategy. We need to stop with conspiracy theories and outlandish strategies. Unfortunately, we have to rely on United reporters, says Patrick Lynch. Could you ever imagine Sir Alex saying he'd be happy with 5th or making do with getting into Europe? It's the hope that kills us, mate, and it hurts. Look, Stephen, I said this last night and I'll say it again. This season is the worst start to a season in relation to ambition I've ever known. And that's mine. I have never said I'd be happy with 5th. Under David Moyes, under Eric Ten Hag, under Ollie, under Van Gaal, under Jose, I never said at the start of the season, 5th is our limit. Always had higher hopes than that, even if we got nowhere near it. And I'm sat here saying 5th is about as good as it gets. 5th would be good. So for all the Glazers have done, or whoever, the reality is we've never been so low in relation to expectations, because nobody can put us in the top 4 realistically, and that's a big worry. It's a reality, isn't it, though? It's not sensationalist. 5 out of 10 for the window is very generous, says Shahin. Do you think we will go back for him after selling, says OTG? I hope so. I hope so. I want Amorim to get the players he wants. Feels like United lost their nerve over Baleba. I mean, it's a lot of money, but don't do the talks. Don't talk the talk if you're not going to walk the walk, I suppose, Smoke. If he doesn't give Kone game time, he'll fail, says Simply Red. Ruben's and Sporting goalkeeper stats, save percentage and clean shaps were never top. Goalkeeper is not that big a priority because he knows he can succeed regardless of the goalkeeper. Okay, I've had enough of the internet. So basically, Senor David is saying that Ruben doesn't care about goalkeepers, they're not important. So the last 150 years of football with goalkeepers in, we've just been wasting our time. Don't bother with one. Actually, let's play 12 outfield players. Yeah? We don't need goalkeepers. It's not that important. Goalkeepers are overrated. There you go. Breaking news. Goalkeepers not that important at all. Fine. Okay. Right, I'm going to go and watch a football match where I'll probably just sit most of it going, why are Liverpool so much better than my club? I'm going to be live on That's Football in a couple of minutes. I'll see you over there. Jack says, I would have sold Bruno for 1, 2 or 3 improvements across the pitch. Nobody's more important than Man United. If Bruno's playing as a number 10, I'd never sell him. I want to make that clear. This transfer window was tailor-made for United players with available for every position and price. They had all the time in the world to buy mid or goalkeeper, says Essen. I know. I think you're absolutely spot on. I've never known a window like this. There's so many options in so many positions, whether it's right back, left back, right wing back, goalkeeper, midfield, centre back. There's so much out there. There's so much out there, you're right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Take care. God knows what happened with the notifications, by the way, because this is a weirdly low viewed video, but it is what it is. If you didn't get your notification, it was always going to be a 7 o'clock show. I get the feeling in 15 minutes, loads of people are going to turn up. If you did, get your comments in. Take care. Speak to you all in a bit.